rallies away on Juntos Ganamos to land the Group 1.
Felix, we're now coming on to 10 years since the first time you moved over to France. You're leading the French Jump Jockeys Championship. You've ridden your first Group 1 winner this season. How are the satisfaction levels?
Yeah, great. I mean, it's been a brilliant year. It's been sort of quite a long road to get here. But yeah, things are going well. I've got a good client base of decent trainers to ride for now. A great agent that I've worked with for a long time. So yeah, look, things are going very well, and just trying to keep in one piece and keep banging in the winners certainly till the end of this year.
Going back to those first days in France back in kind of 2014, I think it was,
yeah.
What was behind the move across the channel?
So obviously in England there's very few races throughout the summer. And I was a bit sort of fed up really in England. I was looking to see something else, to do something different, and I thought, why not have a go out in France, and jumped into my car and drove up to Maison Lafitte, and it's something I immediately loved, yeah.
But it can't have been easy being an Englishman abroad. How did you speak any French at the time? How tough was it outside of the stable?
Yeah, it was. I mean, there's no two ways about it. The language is that's the killer. You know, from my school days, I knew what a goldfish was. I knew how to ask for a guinea pig and go and voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir, you know, like all the English lads, you know. The trainer says, do this, and you do completely opposite because that's what you understood. And in the end, sometimes there's trainers who just think, oh, well, he knows how to ride. He doesn't understand what I'm saying anyway, so just let him do it, you know. I know, well, funnily enough, Nathan Howie, he rode for Michael Serrault, who I get on well with, a French trainer out here, and he said to him in French, he said, under no circumstances are you to go in last position. And Nathan understood.
Last
go
position.
in last position, and dropped the horse right in, and, you know, the horse ran a blinder, actually. It all worked out well, but the trainer, you know, he comes back in, trainer furious, and, you know, Nathan comes back in with a big smile on his face, thinking he's, yeah. And it's, yeah, often that's the killer, is the language, yeah.
Pour moi, j'aimerais bien de commencer caché. Après, elle gagne de longueur chaque fois qu'elle saute.
I find once you're out here, once you're in the yard, you really have to just submerge yourself into the culture and give yourself no chance but to learn. I think after sort of 2-3 years, you really get the basics and some, and that's when you start to learn and pick everything up very quickly once you can follow conversations and things like that.
And so back in the spring, your first Grade 1 winner with Juntos Ganamos. Just go back and tell us a little bit about the feelings, the emotion of that. It was really something that was on your back. You were desperate to win this Group 1.
It was a monkey on my back is what it was. So I was pretty happy to get it out of the way with nearly, in that sense, you know. You know, I'd had a stack of seconds and thirds, and, you know, like I said before, Grade 1s, they're few and far between in France. You know, there's only 8 or 9 in a year, which is just, compared to England, it's crazy that there's so few. And, you know, I'd had a few in Italy and elsewhere, and it was just nice to get one in France, you know. And with Juntos Ganamos, you know, he's a very, very good horse indeed, and I hope there'll be plenty more to come.
As they come towards the final obstacle, a plain hurdle, Juntos Ganamos out in front, the loose horse alongside could be troublesome. 3 or 4 lengths then back to Jazz Manouche in second position. La Marche Bleue is in third place, but as Juntos Ganamos out clears it, come past the 100-metre marker, and Felix De Giles rallies away on Juntos Ganamos to land the Group 1. Brie Ferdinand 4.
In France, the Jump Jockeys Championship goes up to the 31st of December. You've got a nice lead at the moment. How important is it for you to win the Jump Jockeys Championship?
Yeah, I think if I can win it once, that's great. I'd love to do that. But I think moving forward, it's probably more important to be riding good horses at good tracks rather than going up and down the country and higher risk. You know, in France, an old jockey is probably 36, and for a good reason. So I think if I can stay at the good tracks and try riding decent horses and good winners, that's going to always be my priority. But look, this year, as long as I can stay in one piece, you know, there's no reason why I can't stay in front and hopefully win the title this year. But then, you know, moving forward into next year, look, we'll see. It's not going to be at the top of my list for every year to do, you know.
You have a very busy life outside the professional career. You know, you're known for boxing, running, beekeeping, playing the drums. How important is it for you to have this kind of variety in your life?
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love racing, it's my passion, and you know, everything I have in my life is thanks to that, you know. But I like to keep myself busy with other things, you know. I feel like it occupies the mind, and you know, if you've had a bad day, it just makes things easier to just take yourself out of that and put yourself in the right frame of mind, and you just can come back and revisit racing with the proper attitude, you know. I think it's important to keep a good physical condition as well, especially when you take falls and things like that. I think it makes you a little bit more robust. So yeah, very important for me. Yeah,
the boxing, that's something that goes quite a long way back, but you're not doing so much of it these days.
Yeah, I've done a lot of boxing. I went to an okay level in the amateur ranks. Even when I came out to France, I was kind of finished the tri-county champion, probably is what they'd call it in England. And then I couldn't go through into the championships, into the final rounds, because I wasn't French, which is fair enough. But yeah, it's something I've done a lot of, and I love, you know. But it's one of those things, you've got to be properly invested into it and be training seriously if you're competing. So, I mean, either you're doing it full time or doing it an awful lot, or you're just going every now and again. And for the moment, I'm not competing. Been obviously very busy this year, so I don't know, maybe my competing days are over, in fact, we'll see. But it's something I've absolutely loved doing, got a lot of pleasure out of, and learnt a lot from as well, mentally and physically. And you know, it's just it's one of those sports where the more you do, the better you become, obviously, but you just see, you know, the tactical ways in which you can develop your skills and hone your skills into something.
So Felix, let's have a look at some of these pictures. You've got a real rocky head on here.
Yeah, it's a good one of me, yeah. Yeah, I can't remember, that would have been either in France or back in England. Yeah, I'm not sure how many I would have had, probably 25, 30 fights probably in total. Even if you've won, and even if you've had an easy fight, you're bound to have taken a bit of damage all the same, you know, so it doesn't really exist where you have an easy fight. Whereas in racing, sure, there's a risk you can fall, but generally you should be coming back pretty healthy, if a little out of breath.
Can you give us a demonstration of the position, boxing position?
Yeah, I've got a bit of a sore shoulder, guard up, bit of shadow boxing.
We don't want to injure you. Don't want to put your comeback back any few days. No. And slightly safer, but pretty hard work as well. This was the
that was Paris marathon. Yeah, I've only ever had a go at one marathon. That's with my sister and her husband Struan. Yeah, it was good. It went well. I was trying to do it in under 3 hours, and I was on track, and then I sort of got probably 2 or 3 miles from the finish and hit the famous wall. And yeah, it was quite amazing. I just thought in my head, I'll just push through it, and your body, it just goes completely into limp mode. So I managed 3 hours 8. I was happy enough with. I'd like to have another go and try and see if I can't do it in under 3 hours. I like to run quite a lot. It's one of those sports you can do without putting weight on.
And at a different end of the spectrum, when you were based down at Emmanuel Clayeuse in the centre of France, you got quite into beekeeping, which also has its dangers of a different sort.
Yeah, it's not an extreme sport, but no, I loved it. It was I was probably out in the countryside. You know, I was probably sort of a mile to the next house even. It was just in the middle of nowhere, and I lived with a very good mate of mine called Gareth Malone. And yeah, we got some hives, and it's quite fascinating to see how they work. You know, I'm very interested in nature and that sort of thing. It was, yeah, quite cool. Less practical when I came to Paris to bring the hives with me, unfortunately, but it's something I'd like to revisit when I'm older, yeah.
And other sports, you're a keen skier?
Yeah, I ski a lot. I'm very lucky when I go down to Pau for the winter. I'm down in the Pyrenees, so I get to ski quite a bit there. Obviously need to be careful not to get injured or anything like that, but it's really an amazing time of the year when we go down to Pau. You know, it's even for your sort of your daily routine, it's quite nice to just be in one spot for 10 weeks, and you can ski, I do a bit of rock climbing, and I can play the drums a bit. You've got a little bit more time, and you're in just the most beautiful city as well. So yeah, the winters I really enjoy.
So things are good at the moment.
Things are good, yeah. Look, it's yeah. I mean, I find like the more experience I have, the more things you go through, the more times are difficult. I think you can't see further than the bubble you're in, and you can very quickly find yourself, in bad places. And I remember when I was in England, I was getting things weren't going well. I was getting, I was riding for first jockey for certain trainers and flying and riding winners, and then suddenly you find yourself half kicked out, and you start to doubt yourself, and you can't see the opportunities. And I think the more you start to accept, well, look, it is what it is, things happen for a reason, this might be considered a bad thing now, but we don't know what doors will open. The more you just can keep a positive mindset. And to me, I've got a lot of examples I can give where I thought this is the worst thing that's happened to me in my life, and I find myself out in France and things couldn't be going better, and I just think, I don't ever want to find myself in that position where I think, things aren't going well, because, we don't know enough about the future to be pessimistic. And I think it's really important, especially for younger jockeys, to know that things happen for a reason. When doors close, many other open, and you just don't know where you're going to find yourself in a year or two's time. So you've got to just always remain optimistic and enjoy things when they are going well, and find the positives when things aren't going well. Yeah.